Alright guys, welcome to another episode of the Urban Garden 2020. So it is the last week of February, actually going into the last few days of February. So that means it is almost gardening season. And for those of us that start our seeds inside, it is almost time to start getting everything ready for planting. So what I do is I use these peat pots. Some people don't like them, some people do. These are the Jiffy Strips. There are 10 pots per little package, and they're good for starting seeds in. And some people don't like them, some people have criticized them. You hear a lot of stories, the pots are too small. Even I've got a ton of the larger ones that are almost the size of 4 of these. And I'll use some of them for some of the plants that grow quickly. But if you use these, usually if you keep them moist, not just sopping wet, but moist, they have little drainage holes in the bottom. Let's see if I can get one out, and you can kind of see right here, there's a hole there. So they're going to drain a little, but you put them in this starter tray, like this one right here, and it's got a lid, a little clear lid, and I have a heat mat that can go up under it to raise the temperature, because you want your soil temperature to be, I forget what it is, in the upper 60 to low 70 degree range, so that'll help your seeds germinate. And what I've noticed is I put these in, put them in, and as they start to germinate, when they sprout up, the roots, when they're growing, will actually just start growing through and out the peat pots. So some people say, well, they're too small and the root ball just constricts the roots, and that really is not the case that I've seen. For the most part, these will all just disintegrate within a few days after planting, or a few weeks, and the roots just grow straight through them. So I've never had any issues where I've dug a plant up, because I use these even in some containers. When I plant or transplant into containers, there are roots popping out the side of these, and I put them in the containers, and then the next year when I go to, at the end of the year, if I'm not keeping that plant over winter and I've taken it out, I've never found like a whole peat pot. I may have found a little bit or piece of the top, but I've never found a complete peat pot, not even close. Most of the time it's just completely gone. And what you have to do though is you have to bury the peat pot to where the soil level is above the rim of the peat pot. Because if you leave it up and exposed, first off, it's gonna kind of create a wicking barrier where your moisture just doesn't come through as much, and it is going to allow that peat pot to remain more intact. So you want to put this below the top of the soil level when you transplant, and that will, and sometimes I'll just take and tear the sides back just a little, peel them back a little, and they'll just flake apart, and just peel them back, plant them in the container or the ground, and you're good to go. So that's what I use. They have the plastic little cells, large ones, small ones, larger ones, but I like these because you can take them, the roots do grow straight through, and you can transplant them straight into either the ground or a container if we're going to do things in containers, and this year we're going to do both. So before I get started, I've got my seeds here. Some of these I've kept from last year, some I've added to, and we'll go through those. But just to tell you, we are going to do several plants or vegetables in containers, and we're also going to use our raised bed that we did last year. So all through last year, we added to it. We put our grass clippings, we put some leaf mulch in there. Back early fall, we raked up a bunch of leaves in it. We burned the leaves down so that there would be a lot of ash in there. We took some wood ash from our fire pit and shoveled over and put in there, and we put a little bit of lime and a little bit of garden soil in it. So we're going to top it off this year with some garden soil. We kind of just let it sit over the winter, let all that just break down, and we're going to go to Home Depot in a day or two and get some garden soil just to fill that up, level it off, and then get it, start preparing it for our transplants that we're going to be putting in a few weeks. So basically, you're looking at, we're in Birmingham, Alabama. So if you look at your last frost date, so the Farmer's Almanac has it April, second, third week in April usually. Usually after the first week of April, your frost chances significantly decrease. So what I do is I go from the first full week of April and I count back depending on what my planting instructions are on the back of the seeds, to decide when I'm going to plant everything. So some things are going to grow faster, some things like warm weather more, some things don't mind the cooler early spring. So you just have to look at what you're planting and what zone you're in to determine, when you're going to start your seeds. And if you're starting in if I use the smaller ones, those are things I'm going to want to put in the ground early. So if you have some peas or certain beans that you can put in the ground and they're not going to mind the cooler weather at the beginning of spring, that's fine. You can do them in these and just put them straight out there. Otherwise, you may want to wait a little closer to that frost date before you start germinating your seeds. Another thing you could do is start them in a little larger container. So some I'll use the larger peat pots because they'll have a little more room to grow. Because I don't want roots just hanging all out of this exposed to the air, because they'll get exposed to the air and then they dry out and die off, and then that kind of stunts your plant. So you do want to plant these, shortly after you start seeing roots pop through. Your seed will germinate, and when your seed germinates and pops up, anytime after then you can put it in the ground or in your container. So we're looking at some things we're going to either plant in our raised bed or in our container, and some things we're not going to plant this year. So basically, I just got this little tote here, it's like a little filing cabinet, and I put my seeds in it. And I keep this just in a cool, dry, darker place. And you can keep seeds for a couple of years, actually, sometimes up to 10 years, and they'll still germinate just fine. So some things I've ordered down here, I have my fruits, which is winter squash. I don't know if we call that a fruit, but most people consider squash a vegetable. But we have our watermelons, a couple of different kinds, some sugar babies, some bush watermelons, and some crimson sweets. We're going to wait a little later in the year before we plant those, and we won't start watermelons in a container. We'll wait until probably the end of April, and then put those in the ground and go with them. So I went online and got this from the Urban Leaf, and it is a veggie garden seed collection. So they just sent it to me, and it's a little collection of seeds. So I've already went through this, and I'm just going to go through, and it's pretty nice, a little packet of seeds. I don't know if it says how many are in here. I opened it up, but I didn't really look at it very well. So it gives you planting instructions on the back, tells you, how to grow them, if you want to put them in a container, what conditions, if it's full sun, whatever, how you want to plant them in the ground. It does give you a little directions on how to plant in the spread them out. So it sprouts in 1 to 2 weeks. So from when you put it in your germination pot or pod, it should go in the ground. And this is a beefsteak tomato. It doesn't say if it's a determinate or indeterminate. And if you know much, I'll have to look that up, because it's got its family and it's got its scientific name there. So an indeterminate tomato plant will grow all year, keep growing, and it will just put on tomatoes all through the year. A determinate tomato plant will grow, put on all its fruit and or tomatoes, and then ripen, harvest, and then the plant's done. So we'll find out if that's a determinate or indeterminate before I decide where I'm going to put it and what we're going to do with it. So they also sent us carrots, Hercules carrots. I've never planted carrots before, so I may try these. And it tells you, sprouts in 2 to 3 weeks. A little bit of information here to thin them out, cut back the least dominant ones. It does say performs well in shallow, heavier, or rockier soil. So we may just put these in the ground behind the raised bed. So I may try some carrots this year. Strawberries, they're really good in little hanging containers where your leaves and stuff can just kind of hang off the side. So these three we're probably going to try. They sent us broccoli. They sent us some butterhead lettuce, some little leaf cucumbers, some bell peppers, and we already have some bell peppers in containers in the garage that we kept from last year, and some winter squash. So I know we won't be doing the winter squash or any of these. I will probably be doing these. So we'll just put these back in the container, and again, that's from the Urban Leaf Vegetable Garden Seed Collection. I'm going to mark these when I put them in the ground where they came from, if they came from online like this, and I will show you. So if you're wondering where you can get seeds at, other than going to your box store, which is where I got some of these from, some of them I've ordered. So we've got Burrell Seed Growers. They're just a catalog seed company, and usually these you get seeds for very cheap, no matter which company you're using, and they come in little bulk packages, and they are very usually easy to sprout, and they just come in the mail and you're good to go. And they have a very good selection. I mean, it's pretty much anything you will want to grow. So it tells you the descriptions, harvest time, how much. You can get a pound of seeds, you can get a packet of seeds, you can get an ounce, you can get up to 5 pounds here, 10 pounds of seeds, depending on what you're growing. So that's how people save money. They buy in bulk, and then they plant their seeds, and if you're talking pennies per seed, if that, you can save a lot of money just by starting your seeds yourself, versus if you go to, I was at Home Depot the other day, and they already had some peppers and some tomatoes, which is way too early for peppers, but they had them out, and they're like $3-4 per plant, where for $3 or $4 you can get a whole pack of seeds, like this one right here. Let's see, some of these have the price on them. So here's 72 seeds. This is a Better Boy hybrid tomato. No, this is 20 seeds, sorry. I was days to harvest 72. I need to read the package before I start talking, or speaking. So it was $2.49. So, you're getting a pretty good deal there. And versus if you buy a plant, it's going to be at least $2.49 usually. And here, I've had a pretty good success rate at germinating. I'm patient. I let them sit. I do everything. I start them correctly. I have my own little mix that I've made for starting seeds. I do take the Jiffy mix, put a little bit of regular peat moss in there, a little bit more perlite, just a tad bit of, we put a couple of cups of Ocean's Forest and a couple of cups of the Strawberry Fields in our starter mix, and then all that, the Jiffy mix, 2 bags of it, a little more perlite, and a little more of the peat moss. So, you don't want to burn your seeds, so you want to use a pretty neutral mix to start with, but you do want it to have some nutrients in there so the seed doesn't just stunt once it gets going. So, and here's another one. Burpee is another good seed company. I've ordered from them. They ship you stuff, and they have everything from flowers to vegetables. I mean, they have your seed starting trays, your heat mats, all kinds of stuff, seed sowers. They have all these different types of pots and pods, these cocoa coir pellets, the peat moss pellets that are just hard little pellets. I don't really like those as much, but because they do tend to hold together a little more, because they usually have some kind of plastic netting around them, and I don't think it breaks down as well, because I have used those to start seeds, and I found that when I found it the next year, that the center of the root ball, that little plastic netting was still there. So if you planted it in the ground, it'd probably be there for years and years. but some do come with more of a, like, it's kind of a hard paper like coating, and that seems like it breaks down easier, but just not a super fan of those. The Burpees do have all kinds of flowers, vegetables, fruits, different plants and stuff, sunflowers, anything you can think of, Burpee has. Same thing, we got Burgess. They're a seed and plant company, so you can order anything from seeds to plants, mushrooms, vegetables, anything you can think of. And I've ordered from them, and they're very good to order from. There are a couple of other seed companies, but basically you can go online, just type in seed catalogs. They'll let you put your address in, and they'll send you a free catalog. So that's that, and we'll start going through our seeds. Now here we have purple pampas grass. We've got a couple of hundred seeds here. Ordered those. I planted some last year and they did fairly well. I think I planted them too late. We have some sunflowers. I planted these, and if you've watched any of the videos, they're when I put them in the garden, that's the flower bed around the hickory nut tree. They sprouted up, did great. So I'm going to plant these again, but I will start them out in the, well, I'll probably start them in a second seed tray in just the tray. I won't use the peat pots for that. Then we have this, this is something I ordered online. It's the Outside Pride Seed Company, and this is an Astable RNC Bunter perennial plant. So this has kind of got this little plume on top. I don't know if you can see it there, but I got these for like $1 or $2 for the pack. There are, let's see, 1,000 seeds in here, so it's kind of like the crepe myrtles. We've got the crepe myrtles. Let's see, we got those somewhere. Oh, here are some crepe myrtle seeds I have in a little baggie, and they're just tiny, and there are lots of them in there. Some more crepe myrtle seeds right here. I got those online. So these flowers, you can get those thousands of seeds for a couple of bucks. Or if you go to the store, purchase a flower like that, it's probably gonna be $12.98 or something, maybe $9.98 depending on the size for one plant. So yeah, you save tons of money by ordering seeds on flowering plants. Sometimes it's not practical for perennial or for annuals, but for perennials, definitely that's going to grow year after year after year. And you can save a little money by getting bulbs on some of your bulbing perennials. We also have some saw palmettos here. This was some more crepe myrtles, and then we had another bag somewhere of more saw palmettos. But we may try some of those this year. Okay, so now to our fruits and vegetables. So right here is a loofah. It's a gourd. It is edible, but it is, the young fruit is edible. So when these, if you've heard of loofah sponge, it's actually a plant that grows. It looks like a very large cucumber when it matures, but when it's smaller, you can, it's edible, the fruit, the smaller sponges, and you can cook them, boil them. You can cook them like okra, fried, boiled, whatever. But you put this in, you can dry it and make it into a sponge. I actually have a couple of these I hung up in the basement after I cut them up. I'll get those and show you in another video. But loofah gourd is one. We probably won't plant it. Then here, this is probably my habanadas I ordered. Let's see. No, pepperoncini is what I ordered online. They sent it in just this little envelope. So, you know, something like this. Postage was 50 cents. They sent it to me. I think I paid, I got a little packing slip here. I paid $4 for 10 pepperoncini seeds. So that was a little high, but the pepperoncini was more difficult to find. So I'm gonna definitely do some pepperoncini. I've got my beans here, a couple of different beans and peas, some sugar snap peas, and some blue lake stringless beans. So I'm probably going to plant those and start those early outside. but I'm gonna wait a couple of weeks before I do these because I don't want to put them in the ground now. So habanadas, I got like 20 seeds for like $1.98, so $2. I got 20 seeds. So the habanadas are not habanero. Habanadas are a very a milder pepper, so they're not super hot like the habaneros, but I'm probably going to start some of those this year. So peppers are warmer weather plants. They do not like the cool weather. They don't like the cool spring nights. So you want to wait just a little later in the spring before you put your pepper plants outside in the ground or containers outside. So we'll go through all our peppers first. Another thing of beans. Our okra, we'll start it outside in the ground. Let's just grab all of our peppers. We'll go through those, what we're going to plant and what we're not. And then we can separate everything to what we're going to start. I'll probably put these in. I work this weekend coming up. So the next weekend I have off, I will probably start a lot of my things in my starter tray. So there's some more beans. These are more of the Blue Lake bean, garden beans. So there are those. So here are our pepper plants. So to go along with the habanadas and the pepperoncinis, we have some hot bell peppers, or yeah, hot bells. So they're this is the salsa blend. We have the sweet bell peppers, which is a assorted carnival blend, and like this, $1.98. And how many seeds does it say is in here? Does it say? No. Okay. Well, so we've got these vegetables, these carnival blend sweet peppers. They look like a little sweet bell. And I'm disappointed that it doesn't have the number of seeds in here. Maybe I'm just, lot 10, origin USA. I don't know if that's 10 seeds or what, but I can fill them. There are several seeds in there. So we have Italian, some more pepperoncini. So I got these $1.99. I don't know how many are in there again. This one doesn't say, it's just like that. These were burpees, so from the Burpee catalog. So I imagine it said it when I bought them, but I got time for all that, so I didn't really look or pay attention. Okay, we've got some Tangerine Dream sweet peppers. I planted 2 of these last year and let them dry out and die, but I've got plenty of seeds. This is another Burpee from the catalog, and we've got those. We also have some Spanish variety habaneros. So these were 4 for $1, and I just got these at like Dollar General, Dollar Tree. I picked those up, just saw them in a little bin, and you know, it says days to germinate, depth to sow, spacing, you know, days to harvest, and all that. So you just, then it has your little outdoor planting dates. So if you see what zone you're in and what date to plant, you know to count back from that date to now, ever how many weeks it is. So you can, from April, second week of April, to know when to start these in your starter trays. So here we go, we've got another, this is a Serrano chili, and a cayenne long slim red pepper. And then we have our Hungarian yellow wax peppers. I think I've grown these before, and they're not too hot. As a matter of fact, none of these, the cayennes are a little warm. The Serrano chilies are fairly warm, but not super warm. These Serrano chilies, same thing. This is the hot variety, and these are the medium heat variety. So we've got several ones and different peppers. You have like the jalapenos. We have the hot variety of jalapenos. They also have a mild variety, and then they have a no heat variety. And basically the no heats you're going to use just for that jalapeno flavor, but without the burn. So if you want to put it in your cooking your food, or salsa, whatever, and you like the jalapeno flavor, but you're not one to really like spice, you can use those low or no heat varieties, and you're good to go. All right, so now tomatoes. We have several tomatoes here. I love planting tomato plants, and I didn't get too many tomatoes, so we may hit up the garden store the next day, maybe tomorrow. I'm off tomorrow, but let's see, we've got our Brandywine heirloom tomatoes. So here we go. So I'm definitely going to try those. I'm probably going to try at least a couple of all the tomatoes. The Better Boy hybrids, and our beefsteak tomatoes. And then here are Brandywine pink tomatoes. So I'll probably get, I don't know, that's 4 different tomatoes. We've got 10 different pepper plants, so we're going to be tomato and pepper poor by the end of the year. So I am going to do some corn this year. And I know I had some corn in another, maybe I've got some seeds somewhere else, because I had a thing of corn where I tried to plant corn last year, but I was trying to do container corn. I had it in too small a container, and then it blew over, and it didn't work out. So I am going to plant the corn and tomatoes in our raised bed outside, along with some okra. We're just going to have a hodgepodge of stuff around that bed. Okay, we've got some artichoke here, green globe artichoke. So I've never tried to raise artichoke. I think we can do it in a container, but I'm going to do a little research. Yes, this is the container variety, it says, so I did good by picking up this one. Squash, we've got 3 different types of squash. We've got our saffron prolific straight neck squash. This is from Burpee again. And another Burpee is our summer squash. It's Fort Knox hybrid. And then another straight neck squash. That's our prolific straight neck squash. So this is early prolific. This is saffron prolific. And this one is our Fort Knox hybrid. So squash is usually pretty easy to do. You mound it and go with it. And our eggplant. I like eggplant. If you do eggplant parmesan, stuff like that, grow your own eggplants. It's great, cheap. I don't know where this one came from. Black Beauty eggplant. So we're going to have a pretty good garden this year. We have lots of seeds to plant. Again, what we'll do is we'll plant our cooler stuff first, which is going to be our beans and peas. Then we'll put our okra in. And then we'll probably do our tomatoes, squash, eggplant, followed by our peppers. And then lastly, we'll do the watermelons or any other sweet, fruits. So because you want to plant them in the order of how they react to the winter or the frost, cool weather. Even though it's not going to frost peas, actually a lot of your winter peas or just generally peas will take a little cool weather, even a light frost, if they're matured, if they're hardened off a little bit. Of course, if they're a seedling or a sprout and it turns cold one night and frosting, it could still kill them. But generally, a little more mature peas, when they're coming up and starting to run or bush or whatever, they're going to be just fine. Beans are kind of the same way. You want to look at the variety and make sure it's a little cooler or cold hardy variety. But they definitely will take the cooler weather, so you can plant them earlier in the year. I'm not as sure about the corn. I'm going to have to look it up to see. It can grow in, okay, so May, June, January, April, so the first week of April. I think the corn we could probably get by with as well. So the beans, a little warmer on that bean, but then these, oh yeah, you can plant those in a little cooler year. May, June, yeah. So if you look at the back of your seed, it's going to give you, you can look right there, it's going to give you a little map, and then generally what zone you're in, and it's color coded. So that tells you when you can plant this, when you can start it. So remember, you want to come back about 4 to 6 weeks, ever how long you're going to keep them in your peat pots or your starters, and 4 to 6 weeks you put them in your starter tray, and then that gives them time to grow and be good size before you put them in the ground. So by the time they're up and ready to go in the ground, the temperature has come around and is ideal for them to go. So it'd be almost like waiting until time to plant and then going to the box store buying $3 to $4 plants and putting in the ground, when you could just start them in your starter trays for a few cents, a seed, and then just keep them wet for 6 weeks, watered, and on your heat tray or heat mat in your starter trays. And by the time that date gets here, they're ready to go in the ground, and you've saved, $1, $2, $3 a plant, depending on what you're growing. So starting from seed is definitely the cheapest route if you have just a little patience, not even a green thumb. If you just follow directions well and pay attention to watering, not overwater, but keep your seeds moist, you're going to do fine. And it's really simple, and if you just enjoy DIY projects and a little bit of gardening and stuff outside, if you like, just the challenge or the scientific methods of planting, it's kind of an art. It's mixed between art and science, because you're gonna follow directions sometimes and be hugely successful, and then you think you're following the directions the exact same the next time, and there's some variable that you didn't account for. There's some just little swing in either pH or certain amendments to the soil, and your grow that year just poof, is crap. And I've had it both ways. I planted things and thought I was right on target. I had some blueberries that were looking great, some little blueberry plants I bought. They were coming up, sprouted, it looked like they were doing good. I was amending them. I used some coffee grounds and stuff. I used the soil acidifier, the acid-loving fertilizer. Sorry, my mind went blank for a minute. But they were doing great, and then poof, they died. And actually, one of them was just gone, so I don't know if some animal ate it or what happened, but one was gone and the other died. So I don't know really what happened. Maybe I had some moles or something in the ground that I didn't realize were there. And there is a possum outside, this huge possum that I saw the other night. My back light, I have a motion detector above the back door, and it came on and went off and came on and went off. I'm like, what the crap? So I go outside, and I've got a little kiddie pool out there that water runs in, and I can water the outdoor plants in the summer with it. And the dogs used to run and jump in it and stuff in the summer when it was hot. But anyway, so I finally got up off the couch watching television, went out there, and there's like probably the biggest possum I've ever seen in my life out walking across the yard right behind the door, and it goes to the pool and starts drinking water. So I yell at it and tell it to get out of here, and it doesn't listen to me. It just looks, but I think it was blinded by the light. So I threw a little rock or something at it, and it just looks around, and then it kind of waddles off, and it was a huge, just absolutely huge fat possum. So it's eating well, wherever it's living at around here. It's eating very well, so who knows, it might have ate my blueberries. There are two things I bought a raspberry, and I bought a hydrangea, just a little sprout in the little container that's like a little sleeve that you get roses and stuff in sometimes. They had both of those a few weeks ago, and I brought them home, put them in a little planter, and I had that little grow light that I bought. So I put it over them, and they've sprouted and done great. So I'm probably going to look at starting some things early in the year, put under that grow light, and just keep it under there for a couple of weeks until we're ready to go. So, it's all about experimenting and, learning as you go. You're going to have successes, you're going to have failures, you're going to do great, and you're going to do bad. But it's all about having fun and enjoying the challenge. So, anyway, just before you go, if you've held on this long, you can wait a couple more seconds. Hit subscribe, hit like, get the notifications, share our video. Hopefully people will start watching a little more, and we'll just share our knowledge. I'm probably going to do some videos, some definitely shorter videos of us putting these in the seed trays and how we do that. So until next time, y'all have a great day and keep on digging it. And now I've got to get up and turn this off because it's just me.